Welcome to JobLine, Long Island's only program devoted to career opportunities and workplace issues. I'm Scott Possessor. While the economy is still far from back on track, there have been enough positive signs that many people are considering diving back into the job pool. So later in today's show, we'll talk to one of Long Island's preeminent experts in choosing a career. But first, we're going to focus on one of the most important aspects of navigating your way to a job, which is without a doubt communication. Joining me to discuss what to say and what not to say on an interview is Ellen Cooperperson, the CEO of Corporate Performance Consultants. Ellen is a dynamic coach, trainer, and communicator with a style that can inspire and move everyone. Her organization is stocked with the talent to strategize, coach, train, and help implement the solutions that business leaders need. Ellen, welcome back to JobLine. It's been too long.
It has been too long, but thank you.
Great to have you back. I ran into you and also our next guest at the HIA trade show a couple of weeks ago, and It was good to see you again. I know you're on to bigger and better things, but your interview on communication some years ago was very memorable, and you have a very interesting take on it, so I want to talk to you a lot. But first I want to talk to you about anger. There are so many upset job hunters out there. I mean, they can't find a job, they don't know what to do, they don't know, they're lost. And I'm afraid that they go on the interview and they seem angry. First of all, how do we get them out of that?
Okay. Well, firstly, we have to put that in some kind of context. There are two things that a job interviewer wants to know, right? Will you solve, I have a problem, will you solve it? And are you going to make more problems for me? So if an interviewer walks in and they're angry, that's going to deliver a message right off the bat to an interviewer that this is a person who's going to make a problem for me because they can't handle their emotions. So what we need to do is detach from the emotions. You see, when anxiety goes up, our brain shuts off. We get hijacked. Right, we have like an old lizard that lives in there, you know, reptile. And the way to get away from being triggered is ask yourself a question. And then in any kind of situation, and the question is, what do I really want here? What do I want the outcome to be? I want a job offer. I'm not going to get a job offer if I come across to you as angry, belligerent, entitled. All of those things are going to turn you off.
All right, let's take it a step further. In fact, I asked you to do a little homework for us and put together some interview do's, okay, which I think are terrific. The first one is a great one that people don't do. Listen thoroughly.
Okay. Well, you see, when people come into an interview or most situations, what they're focused on is the conversation that's in their head, as opposed to listening to what's being said to them. A job interviewer is going to tell you very quickly what's really important to them. You got to listen for that.
Okay, and how can you help them if you don't really know what's going on, what the problems are?
They're going to tell you right off the bat. They're going to tell you, I'm looking for a team player, or I need somebody flexible. You need to be listening for that, so that's the question you're answering.
The next one I love, look for the question behind the question.
That's right. The question behind the question is, are you going to make problems for me? Are you going to solve my problem? Can you really help me? And that question, those two questions come out over and over and over again.
All through the interview.
Entirely through the interview.
So every answer you give should take that into account.
That's right.
Okay. The next one is highlight accomplishments, not responsibilities.
Yeah. Okay. So focus on what your accomplishments are. You should have a whole bag in your pocket of this is what I've accomplished. And the answer to the questions about, well, are you flexible? Are you a team player? And this is what we're looking for, is what we call PAR. You start with the problem, the action that you took, and the results. What was the problem? What did I do to solve it? And what were the results? What did I really accomplish in my career, rather than focusing on my responsibility was to be, you know, the head of the whatever.
I was in charge of this.
I was in charge of this or that.
Okay, learn how to communicate when the stakes are high. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, there's a lot at stake with job interviewers right now, with people looking for jobs. Money is tight. There's a tremendous amount of competition. And we need to stay centered and focused, especially when the emotions are strong and the stakes are very high.
Okay, we have to read the nonverbal cues. Be aware of your own nonverbal cues.
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, people really need to relax because they're so busy looking at other people's body language and is my body language all right? The important thing to remember in a job interview is to look relaxed and not all stiff. Sometimes job interviewers themselves are not comfortable. And if you're all, all uptight, they're going to get that way too.
Okay, now the next one we're going to kind of skip because show enthusiasm and interest. I think they know that.
Right.
But to do your homework on the company, I think they know that too. But how about learn how to answer tough questions?
Okay. Well, some of the tough questions, and you can anticipate these, are tell me about your biggest weakness. Now, people play games with that. My biggest weakness is that I never stop working. Well, a good interviewer is going to get under that with, so how is that a problem for you? How is that a problem? Why is that a weakness? What you need to do is look at your resume and your background and see what's really apparent to an interviewer. If I don't really have a background in your industry, you got to get that on the table as a weakness. And then speak to it, but never give an interviewer a reason not to hire you.
Let's make sure people know what not to do. One thing we already explained is don't show anger, don't show resentment, nothing like that. But you have here, don't try to control the agenda, which I think is a great point.
Right, okay. The interviewer has things that they want to be asking you. You control the interview by your resume, but follow their lead. Don't try to take over. All you're going to do is annoy them, and it's not going to help you in this interview.
But what happens if they do too much talking? Some interviewers don't know how to handle that either.
Well, you need to be listening for, they're telling you everything that they want. And so when they take a breath and they do ask you a question, then you need to feed back to them what it is they've told you.
Well done. Okay. Don't answer the wrong question. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so they're asking you one thing, and if you walk in with your agenda of what you want to put on the table, there's a real mismatch between what they're asking you and what you're answering them. So again, you need to stay focused on.
Okay, and don't run on and on with information.
Yeah, just be concise.
Okay, and don't criticize past employers. That's a very good one.
Yeah, yeah. Have your story ready. What's the reason that you left? Why aren't you in your past job anymore? And get that down without setting your past employer on fire.
Let's expand on that one just 1 second, because I've heard people say things like, my supervisor used to do it this way, which didn't make any sense. Okay, so what are you really doing in that case? You're actually bad-mouthing your supervisor.
That's right.
And now this person is your new potential supervisor.
Well, that's great, Scott, because as I said before, when you do that, you're delivering the message of, uh-oh, this one's going to make problems for me.
That's right.
So that's what I say. That's what always needs to be in the back of your mind. What's in their mind is, are you going to solve my problem? And don't make any more for me.
Okay. And then don't give a reason not to hire you.
That's right. So the interview is not a place for confessional. So they say, what's your weakness? Or why did you leave your last job? This is not the place to dump all of the reasons. The idea is, tell them the reasons why they should hire you. What did you accomplish?
All right. Now, one thing that I wonder about too is asking questions. Do we tell people that they should ask questions? They should have a canned question when they go in there. Should they then formulate a question during the interview, based on something that they heard? Because doesn't that help?
Absolutely helps, and it helps for people to do their homework and get up on the internet and find out about the company that they're going to and walk in with really legitimate questions that demonstrates that enthusiasm and interest in the company.
And what if the company says to you, do you have any questions? And you don't have any. You say, no, I don't have any.
Well, it means you haven't done your homework. There's got to be some questions that are coming up for you. You want to know about this company. You don't know everything about it. So what don't you know about the industry? What don't you know about the company? There are things for you to be able to bring to the table.
Okay, fantastic. Well done, Ellen. Welcome back to JobLine on News 12 Long Island. My next guest is here to talk to us about planning your next career. Dr. Chuck Sodikoff is a career management professional with more than 30 years experience. Dr. Sodikoff is currently a senior consultant with Corporate Performance Consultants, Inc., and over his career has worked with more than 1,000 executives and managers, assisting them in defining their career direction and in conducting their job searches. Dr. Sodikoff has also trained human resources professionals and line managers in the art of selection interviewing. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good seeing you again.
As I said before, I ran into you and Ellen at the HI trade show, and I decided to be on the same show.
That was great.
It all fits together. Chuck, the job market is in shambles.
Yes.
When you hear about the jobs that are out there now, it's physical therapists, occupational therapists, all in the healthcare field, very few developing jobs in professional services and careers and stuff. And it must be a bear to help people pick a career path in such a climate.
Well, really what the biggest difference, I want to make it kind of quick, but what the biggest issue is that people think automatically there's no hope. And even in the toughest market, there is always hope for finding what you're looking for, and that people are being hired. And so that when you're planning a career direction, you plan it in the right way, what's good for you, rather than what's available, because you don't want to go into the wrong career.
And there's always the hope that you can network your way into something, even if you didn't have the traditional conventional credentials for it. So
many
you got to
times.
have hope, you got to have belief.
I've seen that many times.
Okay, let's go with some career planning tips
Sure.
for people now planning, starting, diving back in.
Absolutely.
The first one is transition your mindset. What do you mean?
Yeah, and that in some ways what I was saying is that you really do have to finally get a mindset that I'm going to do this, I'm going to work on it, I'm going to spend the time and the effort to really make decisions about which way to go with my career.
Okay, it's not something you do easily. Identify your skills, which skills are transferable.
That's exactly right. If you're thinking about moving, you've got to really understand what your skills are. You have to, because you're going out there to sell yourself, so you got to know the product real well. Part of the product is what skills do you have to offer, and a lot of the skills that you've demonstrated in the past are transferable to other types of careers.
I know, and people need to believe that.
Absolutely.
Okay, identify your satisfiers and dissatisfiers.
Right. Not only do you want to know what skills you have, but you really want to know what's made you happy, what you have really enjoyed doing in your career and in your life, and what things you found dissatisfying doing in your life. And you've got to combine that, and suddenly when you combine those things to say, here's the stuff I would love to have, and here's the stuff I would like not to have, careers start to develop. You get a clear picture of which direction ought you be going.
Okay, and identify your core values.
Yeah, and that is the final piece of this puzzle, which is to say, I've got strong beliefs, I know what makes me happy, I know what I value, and finding yourself, one of the worst things one can do is find yourself in a job situation that you have to violate your own core values. It's an impossible situation to be in.
You won't last.
You won't last, and you hate being there when you're there.
Okay, now we're going to switch gears on you because
Sure.
you're excellent at this, one of the preeminent people that does career assessment testing.
Thank you.
And we thought we'd put you in a position to maybe give viewers some advice on how to get past these tests.
Right.
Now, so let's give them some tips. The first one is put yourself in a relaxed frame of mind when you're taking a career assessment.
Yeah, I mean that's of course easy to say, just to be relaxed, and I don't mean, it's not really meant to say just relax, but it is to say beforehand, put you in the mindset of, if you're taking tests or you're sitting down to fill it out, that you're not trying to beat it, that you really are trying to look for the best fit. And the purpose of a test, either a skill test or a personality, personal style test, is to find out if you're going to fit well in this job.
And if people look at the test and say, well, maybe I should answer the question this way, does that mean they're already lost?
Well, it is, because you're trying to fool the test, and if you're looking at testing, really do recognize that it's as important for you in terms of going into your next job to know that it's the right job for you and the right fit for you as it is for the company who's looking to hire you. So if you go with the mindset of saying, here's the opportunity to assess, is this the right fit for me? And companies don't have, the purpose of this testing is not to get you rid of you. It really is to see, do we have a real good fit here?
Okay. And we've talked about this, don't try to beat the test or you'll lose. We kind of covered that. So let's move on to the next one. Companies look for ability, motivation, and fit.
Right. The three core, we kind of talked about it, but the three core things that a company is looking for is, can you do the job, will you do the job, and are you the right fit for the job? Are you, personality-wise, are you going to get along with are you fit for the organization? Are you fit for the department you're going to be working with? Are you fit for the people you're going to be working with? And in my role in assessment, when I do assessment as a psychologist, I really am focusing on fit. I'm assuming people coming to see me, they've already been assessed about the can-do part, that they've been assessed that they can do this particular job. I'm now looking at, are they motivated really to do this job, and is this a job that they want? And are they the right fit for working with the people and in the organization that they're looking for?
Great stuff, Chuck.
Thank
Wish
you.
we had more time. All right, thanks to my guests and you at home for watching JobLine. Until next time, I'm Scott Possessor. Happy hunting.